There are people who love comfort, routine, and secure the familiar. And then there are those born with fire inside them, a restless energy that pushes them to explore, to climb, to wander, and to experience the world as if every breath were a new beginning. Gökberk Demirci belongs firmly to the second kind. His life, long before cameras captured his expressions, before fame amplified his name, was shaped by something far more ancient than ambition, a purer, instinctive love for adventure. For him, adventure wasn't a hobby. It was an instinct. It was the pulse behind his decisions, the voice whispering in his ear, whenever life grew still, urging him to move, to discover, to test the boundaries of the world and of himself. Even as a boy, the call of the unknown was louder than any toy, louder than any distraction. While other children preferred games, screens, or comfort, he sought the sound of wind rushing between trees, the crunch of gravel under his boots, the burn of sun on his skin. Nature wasn't a place he visited. It was where he felt most himself, a childhood shaped by curiosity. One of the earliest signs of his adventurous spirit appeared in the form of curiosity. As a child, he wasn't afraid of dirt or bruises, or getting lost on long rural trails. Instead, he welcomed these things, treating them as proof that he had lived the day fully. The forest near his home became his first teachers. Every tree became a landmark, every path a story, every rock a challenge. He learned to read nature the way others his age learned to read books. This upbringing planted the seed of independence in him early. He didn't wait for someone to guide him. He guided himself. He didn't ask for excitement. He created it. And perhaps without knowing it then, he was shaping the very qualities that would later make him stand out as a man of discipline, depth, and raw authenticity. His parents noticed this restlessness. His father, strong, grounded, and hard-working, understood it well. He had the same spark once, the same hunger to explore, but life had demanded stability. So instead of suppressing it in his son, he encouraged it. He would say, "A man who knows the world knows himself. Go far, but always come back wiser." His mother, protective yet wise, added another layer. "Adventure will teach you what classrooms cannot. Just promise you'll return home safely." These teachings weren't just sentimental. They became the framework for how he approached life as he grew. The freedom found in nature. By the time Gökberk entered his teenage years, he was no stranger to long hikes, challenging terrains, and spontaneous journeys. He wasn't reckless. He was intentional. Adventure, for him, wasn't about danger. It was about discovery. There were days when he would wake before sunrise, feeling a pull in his chest, a call that couldn't be ignored. On those mornings, he would grab a backpack, fill it with water, bread, and a notebook, and disappear into the hills for hours. While others might find solitude frightening, he found it liberating. In the quiet, he could hear his own thoughts clearly. In the open air, he felt the weight of the world lighten. This love for silence eventually became one of his defining traits. Most people assumed adventure always involved noise, speed, and adrenaline. But for him, the true adventure was in silence, the kind where nature speaks in ways humans rarely do. The rustling of leaves, the distant call of birds, the rhythmic pattern of his footsteps on uneven paths. These were his companions. The world felt bigger out there, and at the same time, he felt grounded, small, humble. The mountains didn't care who he was or what he achieved. The rivers didn't praise him. The trees didn't judge him. In nature, he could simply exist. Lessons from the mountains. One of the most significant experiences of his youth came the first time he reached the peak of a mountain after hours of climbing. The journey had been long, the incline steep, and several moments had tempted him to turn back. But something in him, stubbornness, determination, pride, or perhaps destiny, kept him going. Reaching the summit wasn't just physical triumph. It was emotional revelation. Up there, standing in wind strong enough to steal his breath, he saw the world from a height he had never experienced. Villages looked like tiny dots. Roads twisted like threads. The sky felt closer, wider, heavier with meaning. And for the first time, he understood the true value of effort and perseverance. That peak taught him that strength starts loud but ends quiet. Courage feels lonely halfway up the mountain. The reward will always be greater than the fear. And most importantly, The world is far too big to live small. This single moment shaped his adult mindset. Whenever life became overwhelming, whenever he faced challenges in acting, personal relationships, or navigating fame, he remembered that climb. If he could conquer a mountain with tired legs and a hopeful heart, he could conquer anything. Adventure as a teacher of discipline. People often misunderstand adventure. They think it is wild freedom, chaos, spontaneity. For some, maybe it is, but not for Gökberk. Adventure taught him discipline. You cannot climb a mountain without patience. You cannot walk long distances without endurance. You cannot explore without preparation. You cannot survive nature without respect. These principles shaped his character long before he stepped into the world of acting. They made him resilient, focused, and mentally strong. When others saw challenges, he saw opportunities. When others feared the unknown, he felt drawn to it. This is why, later in life, when the world expected him to fit into certain roles, certain societal molds, certain expectations, he didn't break. He remained true to himself, because a man who has faced nature knows how to face the world. Adventure beyond landscapes. As he entered adulthood, his definition of adventure expanded. It was no longer limited to physical travel or exploring landscapes. It became a way of living, trying new skills, stepping into unfamiliar environments, understanding different cultures, taking risks in his career, and discover what it meant to love deeply. These became new forms of adventure. He learned that you could climb mountains in nature, but you could also climb mountains in your heart. You could explore forests, but you could also explore human emotions. You could get lost in a city, but you could also get lost in a role, a passion, or a dream. This is why every character he later portrayed felt real. He didn't play them, he understood them. Adventure had taught him empathy, perspective, and courage. It had expanded his emotional world, giving him access to feelings many people spend a lifetime avoiding. The quiet side of an adventurous soul. There's a misconception about adventurous people, that they are loud, chaotic, constantly seeking adrenaline. But Gökberk carried his adventurous spirit in a silent, introspective way. He preferred sunrise over nightlife. He preferred a quiet walk over crowded gatherings. He preferred meaningful experiences over superficial thrills. To him, adventure was not showmanship. It was personal evolution. He found beauty in watching waves collide with rocks. He found peace in the sound of rain on a cabin roof. He found joy in meeting strangers who later became friends. He found clarity in sitting alone under the sky, listening to the hum of existence.